All right, we're officially live. If the Wi-Fi is spotty, you guys can blame me. I'm just not sitting where the Wi-Fi is great. Waiting for another rapper to join. This is part of the No Filter series where I just basically get to know other rappers better, get to know them, get to know their work, and then, pretty much start from there. Give me one sec. Just messaging him to see if he can see my live stream. Might take a second. I gotta figure out how to get this socket open. Screw it. Yo. Alright, how do I... Here we go. Hello?
What's good?
Hello? Hey man, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Thanks for joining. Took you a while.
Yeah, it was quite complicated. I don't know, like I don't come to that live shit that much often. So
Yeah, no,
when I
neither
heard,
do I, man. I felt like a dinosaur when I was trying to figure out how to go live stream. First, I ended up calling you directly.
I can
And
relate to that. One of the friends joined up. Abdullah Saeed, I think, is joining up.
okay.
How are you, Abdullah?
Oh, nice,
I think
nice,
people
nice. These
eventually
are
start coming.
these are
Yeah,
these are your friends.
yeah, I think, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
I saw you.
I still don't know all my followers yet, even though there's barely any of them. I just started, and I just started to get back on Instagram. Like the other day, I was just sitting. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to open this socket right now so I can plug in my phone before it dies. Um,
uh,
but the other day, I was just sitting on Facebook, and there we go. Um, and it just occurred to me, I was like, yo, no wonder why Facebook's dead because no one's there. And I was confused. I was like, where do I release my future tracks? Do I release them on Facebook or YouTube or all these other platforms? There's so many. And then it just occurred to me, I was like, all right, I need to be on Instagram because that's just where people are at. That's just where the crowd is basically communicating and getting all these updates. Twitter
yeah.
is pretty much dead as well. So yeah, I just figured that I'd start this, and then I started just finding people. I was like, who's in the rap game? Came across your work, and I was like, wait, who is this guy? So I just I hit you up, and you're like, oh yeah, Mubashir mentioned you, and that was crazy.
Yeah. Rest in
Um,
peace to that guy. He was a real great guy, man. Even though I couldn't get to
yeah, we got
interact much, but that
yeah,
guy, rest in peace. May so rest in
yeah,
peace.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know, man. Illa lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. I,
Mm.
I can't say I grew up with him, but as far as the rap game is concerned in Pakistan, when we were struggling to just introduce rap, yeah, sure, rap was introduced a bit earlier on by people like I think Fakhri Alam,
Yeah,
but not to an extent where it was even a little bit commercializing, right? So
yeah,
I remember at that time in Karachi, I was 17, I think, or 16 when I moved to Pakistan, and I found that there was this rap crew called HIS from Karachi. And till this day, I don't know who they are now. I heard of them. I used to talk to them back on Facebook, and then they just kind of went off the radar. From Lahore, we used to have FSC. I think there was
forget yourself.
I
Cool.
think that was, yeah. And then from Islamabad, we had rap engineers, and we
Yeah,
had Adil Amar. We had, I don't
4-2.
remember if
Not to forget 4-2 was also doing good at one
was
time.
was
Those
was Fortitude there? Because from what I remember, right? So I think 2 years into the game, I started this competition called Spit Parade, where basically I would just find some mainstream beat and I would encourage rappers to basically go and just drop bars, kind of like all these challenges that are surfacing nowadays.
Yeah.
And it was an entry by, I think, one of the rappers or two of the rappers, can't remember, from Fortitude. Um, I'm blanking out on his name right now. And then not Mustafa, the other guy. Do you remember his name? Sh-
Yeah, I
Shamri is
think I might
something
have
like
heard
that.
him. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I've heard
so
something like that.
he dropped his verse on that beat, and then I was just like, like I didn't even know there are all these other rappers in Pakistan until like I started that competition. So like, all these platforms and things like that are a great way to kind of surface new talent. And like thanks to like Instagram, I'm just like it's just giving me suggestions. It's like, oh, suggesting like you follow this person, and I'm like checking their profile out, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is another Pakistani rapper, another Pakistani rapper. So I mean, everyone's doing their work to their different degree, right? I remember starting off and I didn't even have a microphone, right? To like using one of those like built-in laptop microphones to like make tracks, and now like
That's the real hustle. That's the
yeah,
greatness in it. That was the charm in it. No,
yeah, man.
people
There's
they don't know the struggle we had to go. Even I didn't have that kind of equipment, and all we
yeah,
had was that phone built-in microphones and that
yeah,
Windows built-in recording software. That's pretty much all we had, man. But even
yeah,
though the spirit we had, the enthusiasm we had, still had us kept going on. And
yeah,
people
yeah.
these days don't realize it. They don't cherish it that much.
No, nope, no, they don't. And it's interesting, like because the times and the era also evolve. And it hasn't been that long. It's not like I'm in my 50s and I'm talking about the new millennials. I'm talking about just like hardly within the last 10 years. So it's just it's interesting how having access to better equipment has encouraged people to basically get or like their head in the game much earlier on as well. So I was checking a bunch of like random songs. Like I just typed in like Urdu rap. I didn't even know that was like a keyword or a hashtag. And then there were so many other rappers that popped up. So I was just going through their work. And I'm hoping that like through at least things like this, one, we're able to just get to know each other, right? I think one of the biggest things that happened for artists is that we're so siloed in our work where we're barely communicating with one another. And if anything, we come across each other's work just as how a fan would. And I think there's a need to distinguish that because as artists we can do a lot more for the industry together than just kind of working in silos. And I know, like, just like that, I found your name. So I was like, all right, I need to get to know you better. I want to get to know you better personally, irrespective of like what it means for the industry and whatnot. Because again, we have the love for the game, right? We rap. This is just how we express. We are able to relate better to other artists. And like, in one of my songs when I was writing, I realized like, I most of my music is more relatable to artists than people that listen to songs. So because that's the same, we're all in the same boat one way or the other. So I again like thanks for you to jump on this call. But yeah, just tell me more. Like honestly, like when I checked your Instagram, that's all I know of you, right? It's like your name is like Pervaaz. I'm like, is your name Pervaaz? Is that your rap name? Like, what is it?
I started off with the stage name K9 back in 2006, maybe, college days, or yeah, pretty much high school, college, or college days, and it was an abbreviation, and it meant like it was CANINE. It was culture ambush narcissistically. It's nothing ethnical. That's what it meant.
Okay.
But with the time passing, I changed my style, I changed my accent, I changed my topics on which I would rap. And then in 2016, I remember clearly the worst day of my life. My dad passed away, so
Oh,
his name
sorry to
was
hear that.
Pervaaz. So I changed my name from K9 to Pervaz, because
Mhm.
my dad was named Pervaaz. So I'm trying to just keep on his legacy. Same
Ah,
legacy he had in life. I'm trying to keep in the hip hop game. And the only reason I'm in this is because I just need to revive the culture, man. Just like we're doing right now, get to know each other, get to know other people who are in this game. It needs unity more
mm,
than anything else. I mean, it doesn't need coolness. It doesn't need any showing off, chains, ranking. It just needs unity, and that's what I'm here for. Just
yeah,
that's why I'm expecting a call. I know you was one of the oldest ones, so I would have nothing but respect for you. And the moment you
yeah,
told me to
man.
hop in the video, I knew I was coming in.
Yeah, I
Accuser?
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope other people realize that, hopefully I'm not old enough to be growing white hair right now, but but yeah, like I remember like it was the days of the origins of rap in Pakistan, and till this day, like it's nostalgic just being part of that. And I think it's important for people like me and new people that are coming in the game to just kind of connect that hand, make that handshake, and then make like put the work together. So I guess so. If you took Pervaz from your dad, and again, sorry to hear that. May his soul rest in peace as well, inshallah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what is your real name?
My real government name is Muhammad Abbas Pervaaz,
Okay.
and um, I had just to go a little bit personal, I had my whole schooling and college education here from Lahore. That's why I respect the city so much. I've been to Harlem, New York once. That's where I was further influenced with hip hop and the black culture. I really respect the black guys. I mean, they're just like us, the darker shade and the same hustle that we're doing in Pakistan. I just see the same reflection in those guys. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I came back and I started to think to change my subjects why I'm rapping. Because
Mm-hmm.
before that, when my dad was alive, the reason why I would rap is I would just try to show people the style we had and just, the mainstream kind of things. But now I'm a totally different guy. I'm just doing it for the people who are voiceless, for my own
Yeah.
self, for people who have done, for
Yeah.
people like you or me.
Yeah.
So it's just that, just being real.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I think it was my track with Mr. Baloch from Rebellious Antagonist. Do you remember that band
Yeah,
name?
yeah. He was good. I know Fahad Yusuf. He's a real dope
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and I've heard about Baloch as well.
Yeah.
Good
So
guy.
like I did a track with Mr. Baloch from Rebellious Antagonist, and I think in one of the lines I wrote like, I do this for the people that don't have the mic to address their problems, basically. And it's one of those I guess benefits or responsibilities that as artists we're blessed with, because there's so many people that don't really get a chance to voice their opinions or voice their concerns. We're related to them in one way or the other, whether we're seeing it first degree or second degree. And then we can kind of talk about that, make it more known, make it more aware. And I see a lot of people that do it in different ways. Some people do it through humor. There's Ali Golpir, who I remember like towards the days when I was leaving Pakistan and moving out. He came in the game and he was trying to do his like more comedy skits, right? And he
Yeah,
had like his Taru Maru. I don't know if you ever heard that. So the very, very
yeah. I've
funny
heard of
stuff.
it. Very
Yeah. So it's
satirical as
like,
well. Yeah,
yeah, no, it's very funny stuff, right? So it's like it doesn't meet our expectations of what we are used to hearing from like rap and hip hop. But yet it's like a very different angle of people's own perspective of how they want to represent the message. So what influenced you to like kind of get into the rap game? Like I know you said you were influenced and you had an exposure to the culture in New York. But what made you pick up the mic?
that's pretty much a very good question. Not many people ask me that. The reason that I went into rap is I think I was in fifth grade or sixth grade, and I started becoming way more expressive than I ever was, and I started noticing that even being small, apart from being a young kid, it was something that even kids my age wouldn't even give attention to me, not listen to me closely. If I would tell them my thoughts or something, they would just ignore or nod, and I wouldn't feel normal. So I wanted to vent out, like every
Yeah.
time you get so much pressurized or depressed, you want to just vent out. So I started writing poetry.
Hmm.
I started off with poetry, but then I realized that the youth doesn't, coincide. They don't resonate much with the poetry thing. So I had to improvise it. And that's when I came to know that the same poetry can be improvised into rap. And it's pretty much the same thing for me. I just need to express my thoughts. And if this is what the trend is going for, why not go on with rap? This
Yeah.
just started off with, resonating ideas. And that's why I'm here. That's the thing I'm here.
Nice. So you started like in New York, or did you end up starting it when you were in Pakistan?
I started off here in Pakistan, and I only spent like maybe hardly a year there in Harlem, New York, and that's it.
Yeah.
My most of my paternal side's still there in New York, but I prefer being in Lahore because a lot of memories are here, man. And I want to honestly, I want to enjoy them. I just want to cherish them. I just don't want to leave them. And now that my dad is buried here, then
Mm.
you can imagine the great sentiment I have
Oh yeah.
now. And
Yeah.
there's absolutely no way I'm gonna leave this place.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man, and I empathize with the reason. So you got, at what point did you get introduced to M&B? Because I know you mentioned, and this is a disclaimer. Actually, I'll let you answer it so that I don't give it away.
That's also a great question. There's a guy that lives in my street. He's the biggest reason I could ever make it to the mic because I couldn't afford a great PC, but he had
Mm,
all the stuff. So I would, it's about, I think, 2006 or 7. I would go to his place. He lived down my lane, and he was a pretty good singer as well. His name was
mm,
Mahad Nadeem. He had hype in his New Times magazine and all that. So I would go to his place and I would record rough verses of myself. I remember that time we used Mixcraft, some really basic software. And that's where I got to know M and B. These two
mm,
guys, they used to study together. They were doing ACCA back in there in Pakistan. So he introduced me to M and B. He said, "Here's another second rapper. I know his name's Mubashir. He goes
mm,
by the name of Revolutionary." I shook hands with him. I realized right at the moment this one's original. He's an
mm,
original guy. So that's the moment I got up with him, and we've been buddies ever since. I remember the last days he was about to get married, and I invited him over to one of the restaurants here near my house, and he came, and he was pretty weak by that time.
yeah,
And I
yeah, I
showed him my
remember.
latest track, the same video one I sent you. That was pretty much like a diss track. I showed a bump in front of him, and he was pretty much dazed. He was amazed, stunted by it, and I remember his compliment. He said, "This track is real dope. I mean, I could feel the originality you put in there. That's the last time I ever talked to the guy. Next thing I know, I get a call. He's not anymore.
Mm,
So this is the guy. I mean, we just had a mutual friend,
yeah,
class
yeah,
friend. We made him, connect each other.
yeah. Did you ever get to like know anyone else on the FSC? Because I can't remember. I know there were like two or three of those guys, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but I think MNB is pretty much the only guy I know. Yeah, through him, I've heard about the other guys. I know there was some guy named Hashim, but it's
Mm,
only about verbally. I haven't met him physically. No.
mm. Yeah, no, I've yet to like find out the other folks and what they're doing. Just I didn't really get a chance to work with them because I know um, M&B was like much more active.
Yeah,
He would just pick up the phone and find your number one way or the other and give you a call.
yeah,
I I have a recording of a phone call recording with him and another rapper that we once spoke with, and it was like a 20-30 minute conversation, and I was debating, and I was like, should I put this or should I not put this? I wouldn't do anything without his permission, and now I can't get his permission, so I wouldn't do it. But in that, we spoke about like such fundamental principles and values of rap, of the ethics in the game and whatnot. And just from that, again, like, just to double up on what you're saying, like you have respect for artists like that. Um, Now, you mentioned that the track that you made him listen to was a diss track, and I think it's impossible to be a rapper without either being dissed on or either dissing someone. It's impossible, and I understand that. So, what? Tell me about your beefs. All beef from childhood till today.
this is gonna be one of my favorite questions. I know till the end. For me, beef. The term beef is pretty different. I don't want to, go into the central beef system where you diss other rappers because I don't think the new generation is worthy of dissing. The only time I'm beefing usually is towards society. The only beef that I'm ever gonna do, predictably, is towards society, not any of the rappers because I don't think my time is gonna be that worthy of dissing other rappers and then getting one back and then letting your level letting them stoop to their level. So I think that was the only track I did as a proper diss track towards somebody, and that somebody was pretty famous. I think it was Bohemia, and the only reason I hopped on that track, it wasn't even mine. I just had a verse on it, and the only reason I hopped on it is because it was one of my mutual friends, a rapper exactly. He goes by the name Barkhodar. He calls me up and he says, "I'm making a diss track because Bohemia, he took one of my crew members who goes by the name of Kid Caliber. I don't know if you've heard of
Hmm.
his name or not. So he said, I want to diss this guy. I want to diss his mixtape, so I'm making a song called Pug Game Time. I said, okay. I was pretty much craving for verses, craving for freestyle. So anything you bring me up, even if it's a diss, even if it's a live concert, I would do that. So I didn't know it was against Bohemia. I just hopped in the studio. I just did my verse. It came out. Didn't even know. I had no idea that my verse is gonna be the better one. So that's the reason behind the only diss I ever made. Otherwise, I'm not into these kind of things. I'm just here for the plain good hip hop thing, you know.
Yeah, no, I
That's it.
respect that. Yeah, no, I definitely respect the thing that you said about having beef with the society because there are a lot of things that I guess especially as artists that we're not okay with because we're thinking about things a bit deeper than the average Joe. And then just being able to voice that, it's pretty cool. So what now, right? Like this is kind of like leading up to what you've been doing, um, and a little bit of your background. What now? Like what are you up to?
Well, this is the actual beginning. Till now, I've just been playing around, hopping on other people's tracks, doing cover songs, thinking it's gonna be a best start to cover songs instead of making original. But now I think it's pretty much time. I can't fool around covering some other people's songs, some famous figure song. No, it's just gonna be me now. You know, just the only reason I'm just making an original step is because even if I don't get to be famous or anything, at least I have my own content that someday my kids or the generation would see bump and I don't know, maybe even if 10 from millions would resonate with that kind of music, that would be more than enough for me. I don't need millions resonating with my mind. Even 10 from a million would be cool with me, just as long as I have some of my original content. And I know it's
Hmm.
gonna be good because I make it from the heart, and I know it's gonna be good because I have been from the older days, from the original days, just like you. You're the very few ones, so I'm sure if I make something original, I don't care if it goes viral or not. But as long as it's gonna be mine, my kids and other people can see. That's the only reason. That's the road I'm gonna travel on, and I
The
and I hope
legacy
you
piece.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a lot of people do it for the legacy, I've noticed that it's it's trying to like leave a mark in the world,
yeah,
and not for something foolish.
yeah.
I mean, I respect, your opinion on like why you want to continue moving forward. That's your source of motivation. Um, so I guess with that in mind, like I don't think out of all the rappers I know, um, I don't think any of us do this as a full-time job, right? It's not like this is what's paying the bills. There might be for some of us, but not for all of them. So what is what is something that you also do to kind of like maintain your day-to-day livelihood, um, while you continue, pursuing your passion of rapping?
Uh, well, society we live in, it's basically something you just gotta do. You cope up with it, you do hard jobs, and specifically when it comes to my life, I gotta keep up with the trail of, media, mass communication. I even joined a few news channels. I try to excel in it, but it's just something that's pretty bad here in Pakistan. Employment fields and job system around here is pretty awful. So I kind of haven't decided or permanently pursued a field for myself because the systems here in Pakistan are so bad, to be honest, that you cannot stick to one field for long. So I gotta do a lot of things together just to bring food to the table just to keep my fridge packed.
Yeah.
Even if it's gotta be media, even if it's gotta be rap, even if it's gotta be like writing stuff.
Yeah,
But
like whatever it
usually,
takes.
mostly what I'm doing is I'm filming. I'm doing everything related to media just so I can pack my fridge inside my home and have my family stuff. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
no, yeah, just that's, I think, that's relatable for a lot of the people that are watching this or that will be watching this, that you just got to do whatever it takes. We don't live in a world where we get to pick and choose what works for us. It's do
Yeah,
whatever it
definitely,
takes.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know there for certain people that are giving you shout outs. So I'll definitely
yeah,
let anyone ask questions in the middle as well. Because this isn't just for you and me to ask. So we should
yes, for the
definitely do.
audience as well. And these guys are
Yeah,
really good. I think one of them, or maybe two of them, might be my cousins as well.
oh,
So
nice,
big shout out to these younger guys. They're a big
nice,
fan of rap, and I think one of them I told about you as well. I told me he's an oldie, just like me. He's from the original time. So I think one of them might even know you.
nice. Yeah, thanks for that. I specifically told my wife not to tune in on this call because it just makes me hella awkward. I'm just like, there's a side of me
I
that
agree
she
with
just hasn't seen, and it's I try to like build a barrier between like my life and my work. So it does get awkward at time. But
Yeah, if it's gonna
I'll
be, it's definitely awkward.
yeah. So and feel free to ask me questions as well, right? Like I don't want to treat this as like an interview. I kind of want to keep going back to this, right? This idea of like, I'm thinking of calling this no filter, right? Just so that people just hop on and they're able to talk and they're able to just vent
They're
whatever's on
giving
their
you a
mind.
shout out as well. He's giving you a shout out. I think you said he knows and he loves your work.
Thanks,
That's your
man.
cousin.
Taha, respect your comment. Do check out the new stuff as
Roger.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I guess my other question was, I'm sure you study other artists, right? And a lot of the interviews that I watch of Pakistani rappers, it's like, oh, who's your influence and this and that, and the answer just typically goes to like Eminem or like all these other mainstream artists. What I'm particularly looking for in my next question, right, and what I'm interested in is
Mhm.
of the rappers in Pakistan, right?
Mhm.
Whether they're physically in Pakistan or they're representing Pakistan,
Mhm.
whose work do you value or do you find interesting, right? And why? You can name as many as you want, and if it's not one artist, and let's say, because I know it's not like, it's hard to just say that I like this artist and I like all of their songs, right? It's easier to sometimes pick songs and say, "Oh, I like this particular artist because of this song and because of what they did there." So I'll let you answer that question however you want. But I wanted to just make you aware that you're not limited to just picking an artist and sticking to every song that they release.
That's a good question. Currently, if you talk about Pakistani rappers, I would go with first of all, Lazarus. I think
Mm,
you might have heard of him. He was doing good. He's one of the top ones I have in my list. And apart from him, if there's anybody I have a little bit of respect for, who's doing original work, is there's an underground guy. He hasn't released much of my tracks. I know him personally. His name is Be Nice. Then Rebellious Antagonist, Mr. Baloch, Wahad Yusuf, and you might have heard about AJ Kazi, Dem Rebels, End of the
oh
Line.
yeah,
That's it. That's the rap. I'm not much.
I'm on a call. Wait, is it me or is your Wi-Fi dropping? Yeah, I hear you guys. When I was in Pakistan, I had PTCL too. Hey, I think we lost you for a second because of the Wi-Fi issues, but
Yes.
I
Yeah.
lost you at
We're
at
back.
AJ Kazi from Dem Rebels. What did you say after
Yeah.
that?
That's after that. the line of taking ends. I mean, I'm not into the recent ones. I don't find them much content. I don't find them much original. So every time I try to develop interest in them, there's something uh, artificial that that drives me away instantly. That's why I've never liked Pakistani hip hop. Them Rebels is the end of it. After that, nothing comes. I've heard Accuser as well. I like this stuff. I like this stuff because of your energy. I know I've seen one song where you was, you know, vibing pretty much great, and you was oozing a lot of great energy. So I could tell
Thanks.
that time that you're one of the original ones. So that's it.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I know,
That's
man.
it for my part.
A lot of the names that you mentioned, starting with like Lazarus, I remember like I found a screenshot of a conversation with me and him. This is when he was releasing his remix of the Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan song. I think it was called Drug of
Drug
Choice.
of choice, yeah.
Yeah.
Dope, dope.
And he messaged me. He's like, "Yo, Kazar, I need you to check my verse." And he sent me the audio before like it hit anyone's radar. And I was listening to the song and I was like correcting his Urdu grammar because he's been living abroad for so long.
Long time, yeah.
It's actually, yeah, if anyone's interested, like check it out. And I posted one of the screenshots in my Instagram just for as a throwback. Um, and at that time he was working with like I think a manager, and Lazarus is serious, like his stuff is off the charts. Like he's one of the truest MCs that I
Yeah.
can think of when I think of like who's the killing lyricist in the Pakistani
Like I
hip
said
hop
again right now,
space.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
no doubt. And I respect your shout out to them rebels as well. Like I for almost a year or 2 years, like I think I grew up with them rebels, both Hayes and Trax. And AJ Kazi
Great
later
record.
on made it to the group, and they formed a new crew called Dark Side.
Dark Side, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And that's when
dope. That was lit.
I
I
started
still
having beef
bump
with
one
them.
of their songs. It's called Land of the Gun. Land of the Gun. I think it's called Land of the Gun. I still bump it sometimes in my phone.
Yeah.
And
No,
AJ Kazi
I
had a
was
great accent.
I respected every single one of those lyricists when it came to their work. And despite my own personal beef aside, because we got into some shit, and it turned out ugly. And next thing you know, like a year, 2 years goes past, and then I hear the news about Hayes. I don't even remember who. I think one of the rappers just like hit me up. It's like, yo, did you hear about Hayes? He died. And I was like, someone's clearly fucking with me, right? Like, what? Like, he was almost like a brother to me because of how close we were. Bro, every Friday, I would go to their house, pick them up. We would go pray namaz together in the mosque. We would go to their house back. We would get some like Pepsi or Coke or something, hit up their rooftop. We would do a cipher video. We would just bump tracks. He would show his latest work. I'll show my latest work. Like um, it was profound. And so I have nothing but respect for all of those guys. I have old clipses that I'm like somehow trying to revive because the format issues are not allowing me to post. But I've so much work with these guys that that I'm hoping to like share back within the industry just to influence and let people know of like their own roots, right? A lot of people that are coming in the game are kind of taking the platform to the next level, but they're also not fully mindful of like who built that platform, right? And the names that you mentioned, like we've busted our asses trying to build that platform.
That's
So
why we got
nothing.
that respect. That's why I got respect for you guys.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I have respect for other people, right? Like, I had a crew with them rebels, and we used to call it South Coast, which was basically the initiative of that was to put Karachi on the map, right? And then as we were growing that, I got a call from Mubashir, right, from FSC, and he was like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're trying to put Karachi on the map. FSC is doing such a good job with Lahore rap engineers, is like putting Islamabad on the map." Like, oh, there was Peace Grip, so Gauri, and I think a few other rappers, like Peace GRIP, I think that was their crew name. and they were trying to put Rawalpindi on the map, right? And then you mentioned Fortitude, who was trying to put Peshawar on the map. So there was like so much stuff that was going on there. So I was like, yo, who the hell is putting Karachi on the map? And um, all I remember is that like HIS, the crew, they just went missing. So we were like, all right, like we got to do this. So we formed South Coast. We were doing this like massive movement. We brought in our bull beat machine, the beatboxer, not AJ Kazi, AYJ, Aspanyar Janejo, the beatboxer. So we were bringing a lot of people into like, and we were doing a lot of fusions like rock and rap and beatboxing and whatnot. So I got the call from Mubashir and he's like, stop this. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we need to do something as Pakistan, not just like individual cities. He's like, demolish South Coast, demolish this whole like FSC and all that crap, and let's start a new thing called Rap Pollution. The name was his idea. He wanted to like spread rap as pollution. I don't really get much, but I was like, all right, you know what, Mubashir, I like the idea and the cause, so let's do it. So I remember creating a Facebook page with him, and then we just started like putting all tracks under that. And I honestly can't remember like why it just went dark, right? Like all of a sudden everything just finished. But it was it just felt like no one was owning it just because of how crowdsourced it was, the initiative, and people just either continued with their silo events, like their solo careers, or there were people that just kind of like got busy with other stuff, like myself, right? And it was tough to keep that alive. And then now, like fast forward like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I look back and I'm like, there's so many more. There's so many more rappers. There's so much more happening in this space that we need to like catch up on and promote. So yeah, that's why I took the step, man. And I just want to thank you once again for getting on the call. I gotta drop off soon because I still got to put food on my table. This was just during my lunch break. So I'll sync up with you later, and hopefully we can catch up. Thanks for doing this.
Definitely, definitely, and thank you for inviting me on this. This
Yeah,
was really great conversation session with you discussing all the good eras of Pakistani hip hop. I
yeah.
wish you all the well. I wish you all the best, and I'm waiting
Thanks,
till
man.
you make a comeback so I can share your stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also hope you like my new album as well. The checkmate
I
is gonna be out soon, so
I'm
I
all
hope you
for
like
it,
it.
man. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to checking your stuff out. I you know I
Honored.
yeah. So I did this Sono bar challenge, or one of the
Yeah,
challenges
the
from Sono
Corey
Music.
DC Outlet, yeah.
Yeah, and in one of the lines, it isn't called a take back when I take back what you owe to me, right? So for me, it was like I don't look at this so much of as a comeback. I look at it more like this is my shit. Like this is I just left it unattended. So I look at back as like, oh, I'm just coming back to this, as opposed to like, oh, as if I left. And hopefully, the fans and the music enthusiasts that we had from back in the day are able to acknowledge that as well. But this time around, I'm also like, we all mature, we all grow over the years. I was like 16, 17 when I was last doing it. I'm 27, 28 now. Um, so a lot has changed up here. And I'm hoping to kind of turn that back into, again, like the energy for the industry and for the artists that are in that industry. So I'm trying to target, a lot more collabs, not just with me, but I'm hoping to see collabs with other artists. Um, Part of me also wants to kind of dig deeper into some of the beefs and stuff that other artists have been getting into. I kind of want to get people's different perspective on different things, because once we're able to get those insights, um, transparency will be key there, right? So people will be able to better understand. If people agree or disagree, then I want to facilitate those conversations. I kind of want to demolish beef as much as possible. I can't say I can demolish everything. Ego is a hard thing to kill, but I'm trying to demolish as much as the nonsense that's in the industry, hopefully in the interest of getting more collabs and more work. And why can't our work put food on our table in the future, right? So if we treat it well, if we treat it together, I think there's something there. So yeah, no, I appreciate your shout outs as well. I'm looking forward to doing tracks with like anyone and everyone, right? As long as like you can spit dope bars, for me it's like, all right, that's where it counts. The quality and all that stuff is like secondary. It's important because the audience nowadays have like a standard that you need to meet. Otherwise, like you can't just put out songs that come out of a
Yeah,
laptop's microphone anymore.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, okay, like let's do this. So this is just a proof of concept, right? I'm
yeah.
trying to get a few more people on this. A lot of people were a bit hesitant to do this, and I think what it takes is like just not courage, but just a leap of faith, right? You just gotta be like, all
I
right,
think
like
so. Yeah, I
let's
mean,
just get on a call. What is this guy gonna do, right?
I mean,
Um,
that's pretty much pitiful to hear that. I mean, if that's some rappers or artists we're talking about, then I think they don't even deserve to be artists. I mean, you're the guy that's gonna go out on the stage in front of thousands, and you can't even go live with someone barely
yeah,
30, 25 people. In our case, it's barely even making 10. So if you can't even go live, how the heck are
yeah,
you even gonna go on the stage, man? So
yeah,
even
yeah.
if I
No,
wasn't
and
a rapper, I would have come because you said one thing the last time we were talking, IG, which made me pretty much flattered. You know, the sentence you said was superseded by my statement. I said that I don't like anybody in Pakistan, and Boop comes accuser with the statement which changed my mind. He said, I don't hate anybody, I don't like anybody, I'm neutral. I'm just here to explore what these guys are doing. And I'm just here to meet new people. That's when I came to know this guy is different. That's when I came to know he's really one of the old ones. He's really one of the vintage
thanks,
ones
man.
in our case. So even if I wasn't a rapper today, I would still pick out, I would still go out, I would still give a shout out to you on this
Thanks,
call.
man. No, I respect that. Like I I there's a quote by Hazrat Ali, and the quote goes like, "Don't look at who is saying it, look at what is being said." And I'm a huge fan of that. I'm like, all right,
Brother,
like
brother.
the truth, right, or the authenticity of a statement isn't really the ownership of the person saying it, but it's just the statement itself, right? And we all learn, right? Like we all learn. We all need to grow. We all
Yeah,
need to develop. We all need to like constantly ask ourselves, like, what we know, what we thought was right, is it still right? So there's a huge philosophical side to being an artist, and we shouldn't forget that, right? It isn't just about like who
yeah,
can put a metronome and a BPM and a beat together and get a track out. It's more so about like understanding the core message and the reason behind it.
yeah.
Once again, man, thanks for doing this. I look forward to getting you on future calls as well. Like this isn't, like I said,
Okay.
this isn't just an interview. It's more like I look at this as like you
Yes.
and me hung out together.
Yeah,
you know,
it's pretty much
so
that, that more than that. And I'm always there anytime you want to do a session, anytime you want to do healthy talks about the
yeah,
culture. As
yeah,
long as it's about hip hop, culture, as long as it's about Pakistan or even the betterment of the world, I'm always there for you, brother. I'm always
yeah.
there. Tap that
I
button, go on live. And I wish you
appreciate
all the
that,
best.
man.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
having me,
that.
brother. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
this
brother.
is no filter, like I want people's original self out there. And I want to be able to kind of complement that by being my original self as well, right? Which is why it's like, all right, if people had even the most silliest question about me that they wanted to ask, go ahead. Like I'm an open book. I'm gonna admit my mistakes. I'm gonna admit my wrongs. I'm gonna stand up for my rights, and that's that. All right, man, take it easy. I know it's late for you, so again, thanks again for jumping on this.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward to doing this again in the future.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right,
Good
man,
luck
take
to
care.
you.
Bye.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.